It's tough enough to lose a partner of 40 years. Kind of like your right arm.
Yeah, that's my 2 children.
Yeah. Now it's your son there who is
Tim,
lead pastor in Sarnia.
and my daughter Tricia, who's his children's pastor. So my 2 children work in the same church.
Wow.
Which is quite nice.
It's tough enough to lose your best friend 40 years, but to be so far away, that must have been a crushing experience.
You know, Jim, you can talk about your relationship with the Lord in many ways, but I want to tell you, at crises times, and you know this, there is a special energy that comes from the Holy Spirit. Wow. It's not just Jesus, God with us, Emmanuel, it's the Holy Spirit in us. And I felt a strength that I've never felt before. I couldn't eat, I didn't want to shop, which I love to do. All of that just faded, but I felt the strength. And there was a song that kept in my heart and mind that wouldn't turn off. It was like a broken CD, kept going on. It was How Great Is Our God, How Great Is Our God. And so my 2 children and I would go for walks, and we'd come back to the hotel and talk about what we're going to do at the funeral, who are we going to get, how are we going to get out of the country, all of those issues. But in the meantime, this song wouldn't leave me, How Great Is Our God. Sing with me, How Great Is Our God. And that sustained me. And amazingly, we tried to get out of Uganda. We were now in Kenya, but we tried to get out, and we contacted our travel agent, and she had several options for us. None of them worked. And we were in a dilemma. They just were not possible. And finally, she called about 4 hours later, and she says, you won't believe this, but I was able to get just now 3 seats flying out of Nairobi to Amsterdam to Detroit, which was where we were going. 3 seats, same row, and they're available to you right now, and I'm going to put you in. And when we got to the airport in Nairobi at about 11 o'clock at night, and we're amazed to find about, I don't know, 400 or 500 people getting on that flight, realizing that 3 seats were canceled at a specific time for us, we knew that God was even in this very difficult time.
You must have been a touch impatient as you were flying over the Atlantic.
Well, you're very, you know, you're just very tense. You just don't know how things will go. Then to add to all that, my mother was flying, of course, from Kelowna to come and be with us for Bob's funeral. And 2 days after we arrived home and are busy with all kinds of funeral arrangements, I was to pick up my mother at the airport, and she called me and said, you won't believe this. She said, I cannot come. I've had to take Dad into the hospital to have emergency surgery. So we were in that whole scenario. So even during Bob's visitation and funeral, we did not know if we would get a call from my mother saying that my dad had passed away.
What's the toughest thing, or what was the toughest thing for you in terms of those few days? With the funeral, I expect you're pretty focused. You're having to make plans. You got to sign agreements. You got to pay money.
Exactly.
All that kind of stuff. So the business of dying is pretty all-encompassing. Is the hard part a week or so later, or a month later, or a year later? When does it really hit you that you're now alone?
Probably a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
And you have surreal moments, like, did I just hear him walk in the door?
Right.
You know, I was grocery shopping with a friend of mine, and we were in Oakville. And I said, oh my word, I got to get home. Bob's going to wonder where I am. And she patted me on the arm and said, no, he's not. And you have surreal moments, and those surreal moments bring you to the reality that now you are alone and you have to face life alone. So, you know, there's an adjustment after being married for 40 years and depending on someone for advice and counsel and security and all of that. And then you find yourself alone. And married 40 years and now single again is another area of adjustment.
Well, yeah.
Like, who is Margaret Gibb apart from Robert Gibb?
Right. And have you discovered who she is yet?
I am. Oh, for sure.
It's a process.
It's a process. Yeah.
So when you're not focused on Women Alive, which is, you know, I'm sure very demanding, what do you do? What do you do when you just want to kick back and relax? What do you do when you want to have fun?
I'm a reader. I'm a news junkie. I love watching news and keeping current with all the political stuff that's going on in the country, which is a bit of a circus right now, and very interesting.
Is it tough re-engaging with a culture that generally is biased towards couples?
You know what? Thank God I don't have that, because my world is mainly women.
Right.
And so when I'm with couples, I truly enjoy being with them.
But most of the events are women together, and so you're one of the gang.
Exactly. I don't have the same adjustment as a woman who lost a spouse, and their immediate circle of friends were all couples. I don't have that. My world is women.
How about birthdays, holidays, Christmas?
Christmas, the first Christmas was very difficult.
Yeah.
We were all lost.
Yeah.
We just had a lostness about, because not only was Bob not there, but our tradition changed. What we did together as a family, that all changed. And so it takes you a couple of years to even sort that out. What will be our new tradition? What's the new normal in our lives now?
The new normal.
Yeah.
Speaking of new normal, what does the future hold for Margaret Gibb? When you look at Women Alive, this vital ministry, is that something that will keep challenging you for years to come, or are there things that you aspire to do that you haven't done yet? Would you like to write a book? Would you like to
I'm
travel?
writing a book. I'm definitely going to write a book.
About?
Well, I want to deal with God's divine boxes. That will not be a title. But what do you do when you're in situations where you can't move forward, can't move back, can't turn to the left or the right? You have to stay in a certain situation. And I want to take 10 biblical women who were in boxes and parallel that to women who are experiencing the same kind of box, like aloneness in marriage. That would be Leah. Infertility, that would be Hannah. And I'm not going to give them all, but there's 10 of them that I've chosen. And then how these women found God in those circumstances. 10 different characteristics of God. And Jim, I have been in divine boxes. Sometimes they've been like barricades in my life, where I had to stay put and wait and see what God was going to do. And I have learned that God works strangely. Life does not move in a straight line. Every dream that I had has changed, and yet I dream on. I want to write a book, and I want to do a lot more in missions. And currently I want to teach women on leadership, do leadership training out overseas. And that is opening up to me actually right now, and I'm not free at this point because I still have a lot to do with Women Alive.
It's interesting you should be wanting to talk to women about leadership, because there's something happening in the world with women in terms of kind of an emerging awareness of their value and of their potential. In some very sometimes suppressed and repressed parts of the world, women are finding courage and are beginning to stand up and be counted. And I'm seeing this in Africa a lot. And boy, I think women are primed for this kind of thing.
Right. Remember, women are nurturers, and they're change agents.
Yeah.
You change a woman, and you've changed her home.
Yeah.
Change a woman, and you've changed her community.
Yeah.
And women empower other women. That's one of the beauties of women. They empower each other. You get women together around a table, and you can have multi-layered conversations about everything, but there's an empowerment that happens in those discussions where women believe in that they can achieve and they can do by God's grace. They champion each other.
Which is a terrific quality.
It is.
Yeah. Guys can't handle those conversations. When you're talking on 4 and 5 different levels at once, you're grasping on all. The guy is totally lost.
I know, but women do it all the time.
I know. I've been married for almost 40 years, and I'm still astonished. I've got some daughters-in-law, and they get together with Kathy, and it's beyond me. I'm lost.
You just listen.
Well, Marg, you're doing terrific. You look great. You're really pushing ahead. We're sorry about Bob's departure, but you're moving on. And we wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you, and God's been good.
Well.